Rock 100.5 the KATT, KATT, live at Rocklahoma 2023. And we are in the KATT booth here with Mackenzie, a.k.a. Mothica.
What's up? I'm Mothica.
I watched your set earlier today. Thank you for coming afterwards. I know it was only 140 degrees outside while you were on stage.
Luckily, I wear mostly mesh and, leather, but I'm used to it.
So, grew up in Oklahoma City.
Yes.
I do the KATT's local talent show where I play all Oklahoma music on Sunday nights. And a friend of mine named Ryan emailed me, Ryan LaCroix, and he said, hey, I've got a song from an artist who's from Oklahoma City that I think would fit for your show. And I was like, well, dude, send it to me, because I've known him for years and we share music back and forth.
Cool.
And so he emailed me Casualty. And I was like, oh, crap, like, whoa, like, you got to tell me the story here. And so he sent me a few messages and said, you grew up in Oklahoma City and went to Harding.
Yes.
And then I am the, biggest Alkaline Trio fan of all time.
Oh, yeah.
And so when I saw you were opening that tour with Coheed and Alkaline Trio, I was super, super jealous.
Yeah, I'm sad we didn't play anywhere near Oklahoma. I think we played Dallas, but yeah, I got to meet Matt Skiba of Alkaline Trio. He gave me a Sephora gift card for $100.
That's pretty rad.
Which means he knows how much makeup costs. So, great guy. And opening for Coheed was my first ever real tour.
I was going to ask you if that was the first big production, big tour you had done.
So I grew up in Oklahoma City. I was born in Tulsa, but I didn't really get into music until I went to college in New York. So I feel like everyone in my high school, I think I performed at my talent show, but I was so scared. I don't remember any of it. I just blacked out during that. So it's been a long journey from being an introverted, never wanted to be a front woman of anything. I wanted to work for other bands. And now
New York will do that to you.
New York and now Los Angeles. So, I kind of have learned to turn off my judgmental brain and just go on stage and try to
When did you switch from New York to LA?
2019. So then right when the pandemic hit, I came back to Oklahoma and I stayed at my parents' house for 6 months.
Oh.
And funnily enough, that was the first time my music started picking up any steam. So I put a song out called Vices. It was played on the radio there. And then I was back home with my parents.
That's the one that blew up on TikTok and went super viral.
Yeah, it was on, And then I started making more rock songs while I was home, but it's so funny growing up in Oklahoma and then having my big moment happen when I'm back home, but I'm 25,
So what is it like now that you have established this career and, you did it so independently, in the beginning? What's that like now that everybody is noticing?
Well, it still doesn't really, I think it's funny. It's only when I look back and realize that my problems are better problems because I'm so focused on the day to day. I'm working on my third album and I decided to do a visual album. So I'm trying to do 12 music videos. And so the problems I have now, it's just funny to look back and be like, oh, I remember when I wished I could get a music video made. And now I'm trying to juggle 12. So it's those are when I realize, oh, wow, I'm doing it. Which is really fun.
Where did you go to college in New York?
I went to Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, and so I studied web coding and programming.
Okay.
And I wanted to work at a record label. And I made music in my bedroom. I posted little YouTube covers, but I never thought I'm going to be on stage.
So did you live in Brooklyn while you were doing this, or did you live in Williamsburg or on the outskirts?
On the college campus, in Brooklyn. And I started posting music on SoundCloud, and I got an email from a record label.
Okay.
One email. And then I decided to put in my leave of absence and drop out.
So I was about to ask, what was the moment? Because you've been so adamant about, being in the business side and not the artist side.
Well, it's funny because I got an email from a label, which now I know doesn't mean they're signing you or anything. And in fact, they didn't sign me at all. And I stayed independent for like 6 years after that.
But still, that's like a big deal to, somebody who's starting out. When you get one of those emails, that's like, holy shit, I'm doing something right.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I've made it. I'm just going to sign to this label. And that's how the world works. But then it took, I've been releasing independently. I've been self-managing, self-booking. I've done all of these things. So when I finally did get to partner with a record label last year, I still know all the business side stuff too. So I'm glad I had that experience versus being signed really young.
I feel like when you establish yourself first, it gives you the ability to have more creative control when you do sign.
Oh, yeah. And so when I was talking to record labels, I brought up starting an imprint label through them so that I could, keep my same, imagery and like have a say, because I've kind of had to be the director, creative director, all of those roles for so long. I was terrified. What if I, sign and then they're like, no, you can't put the song out. Or like my song Forever 15, I released it on the 10-year anniversary of my suicide attempt. And I had a record label tell me, oh, I don't know if we can make it for that date. Can we like push it to April? And I was like, these are the things that I'm like, I want to stay true to. Like if I have a vision for something, especially something as serious as that. So
did the guy know the story behind it? Or was he just tone deaf?
Funnily enough, I was telling my story about Forever 15, and at that moment, he got an order for cupcakes, and like we were interrupted by cupcakes as I was telling my life story.
You're never gonna look at cupcakes the same, are you?
Yeah, and I was like, so anyways, and then I tried to, and then I just realized, okay, I'm just gonna stay independent for a little while.
One of the other tracks that I love, because I just love this song, is the Santos and Johnny cover of Sleepwalk that you do.
Oh, wow.
That's one of my all-time favorite songs, and so I'm not going to lie, I listened to that with extremely judgmental ears the first moment I hit play. You do it justice. I love it. I play it on my show, but I absolutely love that song, and that's kind of I think it's cool you went back way old school to put that out.
Yeah, so when I was making my album Nocturnal, I kept wanting, so the interludes have these kind of 50s musical things happening, and I watched The Conjuring, and they had Sleepwalk in it, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's perfect, because I was just writing anything about sleep, bedtime, night, stars, and it just is so eerie, that song. And I also have like a lo-fi version of some of the Nocturnal album songs. So there's a lo-fi version of Sleepwalk too.
I've listened to all of them.
Oh,
I'm not
cool.
gonna lie. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for knowing that. But yeah, it was so funny watching The Conjuring inspired that to be my intro.
I was awful curious just because I've been a fan of that song for so long.
Yeah.
And so many bands have covered it live, but to do a studio version is,
yeah.
And you make it very modern, but it's still, you're right, it has a very eerie vibe to it.
And that one is cool because it was an instrumental, and then they added the lyrics later.
Yes.
Which is always like interesting to me because I definitely write a lot of lyrics first, but to have a instrumental turned into a lyric is so sick.
So when you make your music now, do you collaborate with other artists or producers or engineers, or do you still do it the DIY way?
Well, when I first started, like coming out of Oklahoma, I was producing on Ableton in my bedroom. I had the whole setup, splice and synths. And then I started working with people that were much better at producing. So I stopped producing myself, and I would just kind of come in with an idea, or like, I want it to sound like, you're falling asleep in a hurricane. I don't know. And then hope a producer can interpret that somehow. And then funny enough, I've started producing again because I just wanted to scratch that itch again. And, but yeah, it always starts with the concept. I always like see the way the song is in my head. So sometimes I'll even write a few versions of a song with the same title. Because I'm like, this title just deserves a better, song for it.
By different versions, you mean like completely different arrangements, different tempos, all of that stuff?
Oh, yeah. Like, if I ever release a song called Shadow, just know that's like the 7th Shadow.
Okay.
It was just like, I was like one of those song titles that's just like, I'm going to get it. So Vices was one too. I had another song called Vices, but it didn't encapsulate what that word meant to me. And then bam, I made the new version of Vices, which happened to be the one that like connected with people, which now is 3 years ago. So I'm hoping the new album will find some new people.
Well, it's kind of been a whirlwind for you since, everything kind of blew up, but it's timed out just right that everything opened back up for you to be able to tour and do these things.
Well, everything kind of blew up online, but it's not like I would get recognized in public or anything like that because the world was completely shut down. So when I play shows or like Rocklahoma, this is the only time I get to see those fans that maybe I've seen their comment or maybe I message them, because to me I'm just like, nothing's changed,
That was the one thing about you that I noticed once you sent me that song and I started looking into you, is that how much you connect with your audience and your fans and comment and respond to them and all of that. And that's a big deal to genuine music fans. When their appreciation and love is noticed and an artist responds to them, people freak out, and it really, really means something to them.
Thank you. I have a Discord that I talk to fans on. I try to not go there too much because I will leak songs and I just can't help myself. I'm terrible at keeping my own secrets. So, and then when Vices kind of started 2020, there was a Zoom group of like probably 50 fans, and they trickled to less, but they kept Zooming for like a year afterwards. And like 2 of them even started dating, and like I got to meet them in person, and they're like, we've been together for a year from your Zoom celebration.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I've only done one radio engagement where somebody called the request line and said, I want you to call my girlfriend. I want to propose to her on the air. And it ended up making it on the story did all the way to the Bethany Frankel show.
Wow.
And so I did a little video interview for that. But yeah, they got married. I don't know if they're still together because I lost touch with them. But yeah, it was wild.
That was actually one of my goals still, is to have someone get engaged on stage. And we were going to try to organize it for today. But instead, my friends that just got engaged didn't, want to redo it.
Well, if you're coming back through Oklahoma on tour and they decide that they want to get married, I am legally ordained in Oklahoma to perform the service. So I would be glad to do that.
Well, since my sets are 30 minutes, we'll have to do a 3-minute wedding ceremony.
We can do it quick.
While I'm performing.
We can totally do that.
Yeah. Okay, great.
There's no actual rules. I just have to know my book and page number, sign it, and have the witness sign it, and do all the legality stuff on the paperwork. What you say in the ceremony, there's no rules. It can be whatever you want.
That's amazing.
We could totally do this.
That's amazing. Okay, yeah, if anyone is listening that wants to get engaged at my next Oklahoma show.
I love it. Rocklahoma 2023, Mothica. Check out all of her music. It's on all of the platforms, and you can hear it on the KATT's Local Talent Show on Sunday nights. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thanks for having me.